people who think it's a waste to defend, say, the UK that prevents people from praying, well, why should we, or it's a waste to defend, to fund most of NATO when, the Europe is facing the biggest threat. Well, why should we go and defend Taiwan? Why should we, specifically, why is Taiwan different in terms of the need for the U.S. to defend Taiwan from a PLA invasion?
Especially when they may not necessarily be investing enough in their own defense.
Right. So good points both, and we will defend with Taiwan. It's not our sons and daughters up front, and this is one of the things I'm pushing here is resilience, and the line that others have said that you've got to get a lot more serious. The conscript situation here, folks say, Taiwan's got conscription, not meaningful conscription. The graduates that I work with, students who get a deferment through the end of their master's degree studies and they get their master's degree, then they have to go serve their conscription time. You know what they serve? They serve 4 months. You know what they're doing when they're doing 4 months? Very few of them actually pull a trigger on a weapon. Very few get taught anything at all to defend their families, their sovereign terrain, their country, their democracy. They are wasted serving, in some cases, with the most extreme case, one of my very bright students was assigned to feed meals to the MRT, the mass transit workers, at lunchtime for his 4-month military conscription. So, that's not entirely the fault of the executive branch here. There's a lot of traitors, and I use that term advisedly. There's outright traitors, and there's other people who are just misguided in the legislative yuan. And then there's military officers here who are blue-red, and they intentionally don't want to make the military service meaningful because in their minds, and I've heard this directly, in their minds, PLA is going to come in, I'm going to switch uniforms. Okay? And I'm going to be, I'm a colonel, I'm a captain here one day, I'm going to be a major or a lieutenant colonel in the PLA. So we've got that small amount going on. Again, successful CCP political warfare here and a certain amount of Sino-fascism that drives that, which is why we ought to be proud to stand up and say, we're gonna confront Sino-fascism. And we're not going to be ashamed. It's not racist at all. It's racist to ignore it. So there's a lot that needs to be done on Taiwan's side. But what happens when, if Taiwan either capitulates, we let them win? The primary avenue of attack is political warfare. Divide, demoralize, and disintegrate, to use the PRC's terms. The people of Taiwan, and it will just fall into the hands and become a province of the People's Republic of China. That's their first goal. But they had the live fire circumnavigation exercises here this past week because they were upset at President Lai speech that he made October 13th. And so they're trying to psychologically terrorize the people of Taiwan and demoralize them through the military intimidation side, that aspect of political warfare. If we let that happen, or if we let the PRC use military force, the PLA followed by the People's Armed Police, which will do the concentration camp side once they occupy the country. Once we let them take over the country, what's the situation we face in Asia? It's not just American credibility that's shot to hell forever. Submarine pens on the other east side of the island. You talk about power projection that the PLA Navy has now, and the PLA Navy is in the past 10 years, it's totally unrecognizable from the Navy we saw 10 years ago, and by 2030, it'll be vastly superior to the 2 aircraft carrier Navy we have here now. It'll be a 5 aircraft carrier and then exponentially larger with the cruisers, with the subs, et cetera. What happens when Taiwan becomes the CCP's unsinkable aircraft carrier? And what does that mean to power projection? They own the South China Sea at that point, unquestionable. They're already circumnavigating Australia now and conducting unannounced live fire exercises around Australia now. It's no longer the Nansei Shoto. It's no longer just Taiwan. And so they're extending the reach. What does it mean when Taiwan falls, when the workforce falls into the very intelligent, highly educated workforce? I love the people here because many of them very highly educated, very skilled, the chips, everything else that's made here. What happens when they fall into the hands of the CCP? Well, the ones who don't disappear to the concentration camps, they've already got built, I am told, up where the Uyghurs are being kept. There's other camps that are being built from what I'm being told, for the people of Taiwan. If those who aren't sent up there, then they become, to keep their families alive and to keep an income, they start using all that intellect, all that technical knowledge, all that talent to serve the People's Liberation Army and to serve, again, an expansionist, genocidal, totalitarian regime. There's all kinds of costs we pay. These are arguments I can easily make to anyone who says, okay, NATO, get your act together, stand up. I was a NATO fellow for 2 years before coming here, incidentally. And so I know the inside of the belly of that beast too, because I tried for years to help good people on the staff there to recognize the People's Republic of China, political warfare. And good people on the staff did. And they tried to push it up, and it was killed by pro-PRC senior leadership in NATO. So they need a smack upside the head hard, because we tried many times. We got a lot of good people on board, and then it was killed at the 3-star level and at the political appointee level within NATO to do anything about it, or even pass the report up to the commander of NATO. A lot of head smacking needs to be done in Europe. Not that many heads to slap here in Taiwan. President Lai gets it. Read in detail his March 13th speech. I will, I got
he's the one where he called you a renowned strategic scholar.
Yeah, but set aside that credibility issue.
I was going to say congratulations.
Go into the rest of it's damn good. But yeah, so. Number one, I was very honored to be recognized there. But the more important thing, and that's an ego stroke right there, that the years that I've been working this issue, going back to when I was a lieutenant counterintelligence officer working here many, many years ago. Even, I'm only 21 now, but I was 20 then. The hard work does pay off. But it was the leaders of Taiwan that came up with those 17 strategies. They identified the 5 major threats. Read the speech. It's incredibly good. And it's what he was talking about with his cabinet, his ministers, before he came out to give that press conference, to give that speech. That's what we need President Trump to do. Taiwan sets the example here. Taiwan is leading on this front. Now, President Lai and then President Tsai before him, gutsy, she took on a lot. They got the Foreign Agents Registration Act and a few other things that were incredibly difficult to get passed so they could begin fighting political warfare here effectively, because for so many years, as a result of the White Terror history you're all familiar with, not many others are, you just couldn't get effective legislation passed. Nobody foresaw the scope back in the 1990s when this country was democratizing and getting rid of the vestiges of the White Terror, the KMT's really, really brutal repression of the nation. Nobody foresaw the threat back then. Nobody wanted to think about it, frankly, what communist China would turn into. And now they have to pass good legislation. President Tsai got it started. God bless her. She did her 2 terms. President Lai has to pick the mantle up and push it much harder. He's doing that. President Trump, take notes. Vice President Vance, take notes.
Thank you for watching this clip. There's a ton more great stuff we talked with Kerry Gershaneck about, including the CCP's political warfare and how U.S. government agencies are compromised. That's all in our full hour-long podcast. It's available only for subscribers on our website, ChinaUncensored.tv. So check it out, learn more, and you'll be supporting what we do at the same time. The link is below.